it's Maxine Luthia, your spiritual astrologer, and welcome back to the podcast where you'll learn how to use astrology in a more empowering and soul-centered way. And I'm back with another transit update for you, as I do every 2 weeks around the new moons, full moons, or in this case, the eclipses, which, if you didn't know, they're like super charged, super powerful new and full moons. So I will talk specifically here about the Taurus lunar eclipse, which takes place on October 28th. And I'll dive into what are the 5 key messages that I have for you, what guidance I've channeled for you for this time, this energy around this time. And really, eclipses are powerful portals for change. So I'll be talking about what 5 key messages are coming through and how you can really listen for which of those 5 messages is your message. Because likely you may resonate with all 5 of them at some level, but one of them will speak to your soul, will speak to your heart. So as you listen throughout today's episode, really pay attention to what your intuition is telling you, which one is key to reflect on for this Taurus lunar eclipse. And this is actually the final Taurus eclipse, the last of these Scorpio Taurus eclipses that we've had since November 2021. So we're closing off this cycle from the past 2 years. So thinking about, as I go through this as well, what changes have you seen happen over the last 2 years in your life? What have you been healing? What have you been integrating? What big shifts have taken place in your life, in relationships, in your work situation, your approach to life, your attitude, your whatever that looks like, your interests. So that is something to think about, because this Taurus lunar eclipse, as I'll share with you, just kind of as a sneak peek, it really does ask you to go within and to reflect on something that has come full circle, something that you want to tie up some loose end in some way. It's a time of greater awareness, of seeing more objectively at this Taurus lunar eclipse. And it's as if you're closing one chapter, so that way you are able to turn the page and move forward into your new chapter that is awaiting you. And so it does require that there's something that you may have to leave behind, some door you have to close, so that way you can step more fully into your potential and what you know is needed of you next in your soul's evolution. So we're going to get into it. Again, I have 5 key messages for you, but I just want to say at the start as well, if you are interested in joining my Patreon, I do offer guided moon visualizations for you for every new moon, every full moon, and every eclipse. So I have a really powerful one for this Taurus eclipse to help you make the most of this energy for transformation, to close off that chapter and move into this next one. So, that we're shifting from the Taurus Scorpio eclipses into Aries Libra. So really making sure that you are allowing this energy to shine a light on whatever it is you need to leave in the past and moving forward into this new chapter. So I will leave that in the show notes for you, or if you want to just download the Patreon app and search your spiritual astrologer, then you can check that out. But if you want to do that moon ritual with me, that visualization, it's what I myself do for all the new moon, full moons, and eclipses. And again, those are just really powerful check-in points to help you make sure that when the universe is calling you, trying to get a message through, you're picking up the phone every 2 weeks. So that is what you get there. You also get a month ahead bonus episode. So yeah, show notes if you want to check that out, or you can even go to my website, maxineluthia.com, and I have all sorts of other ways to learn with me, to get a reading with me, or sign up for spiritual astrology school and get on the waitlist for the spring. So, okay, with all that said, let's get into today's episode. What are those 5 key messages for you? And what is it you need to know about this lunar eclipse in Taurus? What is so special about it? And how can it really help you move into your new chapter, whatever that looks like for you? Okay. And I'll also be kind of peppering in other transits as we go through as it's relevant for you. So this is just some stats for you on this eclipse. So it takes place on October 28th at 10:15 p.m. Central European Time, or October 28th, same day, at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so, convert that to your time zone, but that is the exact day when the eclipse energy is at its peak. So, of course, if you are listening to this beforehand and you really want to plan out in advance that you'll set aside some time that day, like a half an hour or whatever you have, to drop into this eclipse energy and reflect, go within, see what comes up for you, that's a beautiful day to do your moon ritual then. However, and I really want to stress this, whenever you feel the call, again, whenever you have the time, the motivation, whenever you feel called to reflect, that is beautiful as well. I just got asked this question twice this past week about this. So I just, if you're wondering the same thing, you really can't get it wrong in that sense, because eclipses are not like on-off switches. I say this all the time. So the energy of the lunar cycle, how it works is the moon is always waxing and waning. So whenever you feel called, there's a reason why. So trusting your divine timing there whenever you want to do your moon ritual and whatever that looks like. And I'm calling myself out there too, because I actually, for the most recent Libra eclipse, I had it all planned in advance. I wanted to, on the exact day, go to the Spanish countryside, sit under an olive tree and just, do my moon visualization there. But what ended up happening, I kind of did do that in a sense, but the day prior, I, out of the blue, I felt so called to do my visualization then and do some reflection then, and it was so powerful. So it was so cathartic and healing. So I just share that with you, because if you feel called, you're going to get so much out of it, so much clarity, so much insight. And it may be the day before, it may be a week later, it doesn't have to be on the exact day. So I'm just sharing that because I know sometimes it can be really, it can make you feel like you have to tune in on that exact day, the day of the eclipse, but we're in eclipse season, right? And that's the same thing with new and full moons. The energy is building and then it tapers out after. So keeping that in mind. All right, so back to the stats. So this eclipse also, again, it is in the sign of Taurus. And so first of all, if you have planets in Taurus or Scorpio, the opposite sign, this might be a more powerful eclipse for you. Again, it's always going to be a check-in point for everyone, but if you do have planets in Taurus or Scorpio, especially your sun, moon, rising, Mercury, Venus, Mars, any planets though, then this might be more significant for you. And also, if you have any planets in even Leo or Aquarius. And because this eclipse is taking place at 5 degrees of Taurus, you can look at your birth chart if you know a bit more astrology and check to see if any planets are falling near 5 degrees in Taurus, in Scorpio, or Leo and Aquarius, and that planet will be triggered more. So maybe themes related to it might also be activated going forward. And how eclipses work is that you'll feel these effects over the next 6 months. So, if there's some change you want to make, now is a great time to get clear on that. Maybe it means taking action now. Maybe it means you're planning things out over the next 6 months. So, for example, maybe one person feels called to quit their job now, or someone else is like, okay, I need to create a plan first. So don't feel too stressed about that. And there are always different energies helping support you in getting where you need to go with the transits. And then one more thing to know is lunar eclipses are super powerful full moons. So a lot about reflection, a lot about pausing to release something, a time of greater awareness and closing off a chapter, needing to really seeing very clearly where you need to go moving forward. So it's allowing yourself at this time to be open to insights and downloads. Your intuition's heightened at this time, much like a newer full moon. However, with an eclipse, oftentimes change just more easily enters your life. It's a time where energetic shifts are more readily available. You feel like you can tap into change more easily. So it's kind of where the universe is, sees maybe you're going off course, you're going in the wrong direction, and helps to redirect you. All right, so let's get into the 5 key messages for this Taurus lunar eclipse on October 28th. And again, listening with your intuition, listening with an open heart, and knowing that all of these may resonate with you to some degree, to some level, but the one that you're listening to that really gets your attention, that really sparks something in you, or even moves you in some way, knowing that that is your personal message. That is something that you may want to really reflect on the eclipse, in a moon ritual, journal on, something like that. Okay, so let's dive in. Message number 1 for this Taurus lunar eclipse is value yourself. Value yourself. And this is a message that has been coming up this whole month of October over and over again. Just how can you value yourself? How can you see the ways in which you are selling yourself short, where you are not seeing your worth, you're not seeing that you deserve so much better. And this may very well be a long time coming. There's a sense that for some of you, you may be realizing this eclipse, seeing very clearly where you have been lacking in self-worth, where you've been lacking in self-love, staying in situations for too long, and seeing how you need to take back your sense of you deserve better, your sense of loving yourself, of treating yourself as you would a friend, as you would someone who you love. So if this message is resonating with you, perhaps even the past 2 years since November 2021, when we first had the very first of the series of eclipses in Taurus Scorpio, there might be a sense that it's been a long time coming, and now you're finally seeing things clearly, or you already kind of knew this and have been working on it, and now it's finally feeling like, okay, I've learned the lesson, now it's putting it into practice. Okay? And learning how to really see, because the ruling planet of this eclipse is Venus, as was the other eclipse that we had earlier in Libra. They're both ruled by the planet Venus, which is all about love. But so going forward, we'll still have a continuation of love and relationships and other themes, as I mentioned in the previous episode on that. However, with this eclipse, it's acknowledging the work you've done, the healing you've done over the past 2 years, and seeing where you can make sure you have a solid foundation for relationships going forward, for understanding your worth and your value. So that way you are aligning with what is meant for you, not what is beneath you. And then message number 2 for this Taurus eclipse is be present. Be in the now, rather than living too much in the future or too much in the past. Recognizing that there is so much beauty about being in the moment and being grateful for what comes up and just breathing and being still. So there's a simplicity that this eclipse wants you to realize the value, the privilege, the beauty in that. And so as you're thinking about this eclipse and what it's bringing up for you, oftentimes just with eclipse season, it can put you a bit on edge. There's a lot shifting and you feel that energetically or emotionally. So you may feel a bit more anxious, or just like there's a buzz in the air. And this is something that just will fade with the eclipses, like that added surge of energy. However, I also want you to know that it's an opportunity at this time to recognize, how do you deal with rapid change? Is there room to find different coping skills? Is there room to regulate your nervous system more, to find ways to relax throughout your day, to breathing exercises, coming back to your breath, being in nature more, calming your mind, all of these things, these even little changes you can make to allow yourself to be more present in your day-to-day life. So acknowledging the ways in which you tend to stray from the present moment or tend to stray even from this sense of calm or appreciation, and how can you harness that more? How can you find a way, maybe meditating every day or going on a walk every morning, whatever that looks like, but finding a way to be more present. And there's also a sense that number 3, the third message, is how can you be more patient? And these two kind of go hand in hand, but there very well may be something at this eclipse that you want to, going forward, change something. You have a goal in mind, you have a vision, you have some sense of even dissatisfaction of you want your life to shift in some way. Or maybe it's a relationship or some dynamic or some goal you have, whatever it is. There's a need to be patient. There's a need to make sure that even as you are working towards something, you are, yes, being present for that, but also allowing for time to do its thing. So if you feel like you've been stressing or forcing or, putting so much pressure on it, how can you allow yourself to take a step back, to breathe, and also to recognize good things take time? And that's not always a fun thing to hear, but really acknowledging that you didn't miss the boat. There's no need to rush. What's meant for you is going to find you if you slow down long enough, if you allow yourself to be patient and present and value yourself, all of these things, that snowballs. So where have you been rushing things or just generally rushing through life? Where are you kind of feeling burnt out because you keep going to the next thing? And how can you slow down long enough to feel that you are in the present moment, to feel like you can be patient and not feel like things are hopeless if they're not happening all right now. Allowing yourself to trust the process and it sounds so cheesy, but yes, goals are great, but enjoy the journey. Enjoy where you are now. Reflect on how far you've come. Reflect on how much you've improved or how much more you feel like yourself, how you're coming into your authenticity. Or if you're not, recognizing, now you're recognizing what you need to change, right? So wherever you are now, how can you slow down, be patient, and know that patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. So if you wait, there's good things coming. So don't rush things or think that you've missed the boat, okay? All right, and this speaks a lot to, during this eclipse, Mars, this planet that is very much about outrushing energy, wanting to go, 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 is in its home sign in Scorpio, alongside the sun, and it's conjunct Mercury. So there may be more anxiety at this time. There may be this sense that you're just spinning inside your mind there and wanting to rush things, feeling tempted to feel like you're not doing enough, that the thing isn't good enough, whatever that is, and not to allow that to rush you, but rather to acknowledge, where do you feel dissatisfied? What keeps coming up there, and how can you be intentional about shifting that? Not rushing things there, but acknowledging, okay, now you have the clarity. What are you going to do with that going forward? Okay, and then the fourth message for this Taurus eclipse is release over attachment. And this is a big one. This is an important one. There's something that you want to change. There's something that you are ready to change. Your soul is eager, jumping up and down, like, okay, yeah, we got it. Let's do the thing. But there's something holding you back. There's something to the past that you are so attached to that it's not allowing you to move forward. You're chained to the past in some way. And often with this, it's allowing yourself to acknowledge that maybe that worked for you in the past. Maybe there's something that you're holding on to now because it was good in the past. You had a good thing there. And now it's it's not growing alongside with you. It's just holding you back. Now, this could show up in so many ways. What are you too attached to? What have you developed this unhealthy dynamic with, or where you feel so sentimental towards something, but it's not going to get you into that next chapter? And this can look like being too attached to an idea, an opinion that you hold, or a belief, or something that's limiting you there. It, of course, also can relate to people, to a relationship, to a dynamic that needs shifting, some patterns that aren't serving you in your life, maybe a bad habit that you're ready to release. It could also relate to even your identity, an identity in the past that served you that it doesn't fit you anymore. And that can weigh so heavy if you keep trying to be who you once were or who other people think you are. And so allowing yourself to forgive, to release, to surrender. It could be an attachment even to physical things. Maybe you feel there's so much clutter in your life, even on a physical sense, and that's just showing you that there's at a symbolic level in your mind, what do you have to shift there? Where do you need to declutter things and release the old so you can move into something that is more aligned with you? Because we're here to grow, we're here to evolve. And so there may be a lot of comfort that you attach to something. There may be a sense of ease or familiarity to it, but there's a need to recognize when something is no longer serving you in this next chapter. And to release that with love, to release that with appreciation, forgiveness, and to truly surrender. So that way you are free. So you're not chained anymore. So you can move forward. So, I mean, if this message is resonating with you, you know what it is. You know what the thing is that you are ready to release. You feel that you know what the thing is, and there's a courage coming up in you at this eclipse to get really honest with yourself, to say this is something that you need to release, that is keeping you stuck, that's keeping you small, that's keeping you from that life that you want, that dream, that goal, that relationship, that job, whatever that is. And so allowing yourself to acknowledge at this time if there's somewhere that you are keeping yourself stuck, how can you acknowledge that with love, with grace, with forgiveness, and move into your next chapter? Okay, so message number 5 for this Taurus eclipse is take a leap of faith. Where do you need to take a leap of faith? Where do you need to believe in yourself more? Where do you need to be more optimistic? And this eclipse is conjunct Jupiter, this planet of growth, of expansion, allowing yourself at this time to see, where do you want to go? Where do you need to dream bigger? Where do you need to improve in some way? Where is there room for growth? And so allowing yourself with this eclipse to get clear on where you're headed. And there may be at this time even insights into what that is. What is that for you? Maybe it looks different than what you had thought. So allowing yourself to meditate, to get clear on that. If you do the visualization I have, there's a need to let go of something so you have the clarity of mind to let yourself, let your intuition, let your third eye speak to you and show you what's next. You don't have to know how right now you're going to get there. You don't have to know every single step of the way. There's just a sense that you need to clear the way for something better. And also, it's worth mentioning that Jupiter, this planet of expansion, has been transiting Taurus since May. So if you think back to the spring and you think, first of all, about what have you improved upon? Where have you grown since the spring? And really giving yourself the credit you deserve there. And also allowing yourself to reflect with compassion on where have you felt really held back? Where do you feel like there have been fears that have been holding you back? You've been doubting yourself in some way. and whatever is under your control there. How can you be more optimistic or break free in some way from those limits to allow yourself to take that leap of faith that's needed to close off this chapter and move into a new chapter for yourself. So yeah, those are the 5 key messages for this Taurus eclipse on October 28th. And keeping in mind that the way that eclipses work is really, with this one, you're closing off a chapter for the past 2 years, and that may require, it may be all at once. Sometimes eclipses work that way, but also one of the key themes even of this eclipse is having patience and being gracious with yourself. So if you need the next 6 months as this eclipse cycle really closes up shop, let's say, for a little vacation until October 2031, there is that opportunity, especially with Jupiter still being in the sign of Taurus. So it's kind of carrying out these themes for you and helping you to feel more optimistic going forward. Okay, so that is all I have for you for today's episode on this Taurus lunar eclipse. And I hope it was insightful. I hope that you now have your personal message for this Taurus eclipse. And I encourage you to reflect on that and see what else comes up for you as well. Of course, if you want more support with this, I do have my Patreon where you get those guided visualizations for this eclipse and every other new moon, full moon, and eclipse as well, to have those check-in points and make sure that when the universe is trying to get your attention, you're picking up the call. So yeah, I'll link that in the show notes for you, as well as my link to book a reading with me or to check out Spiritual Astrology School or all of that other stuff. So that will be there for you. And if you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to me over on Instagram. And yeah, would love to hear even just what came up for you for today's episode. So if you feel like sharing, reach out. But thank you so much for being here, for learning with me, for listening to the end, and happy Taurus eclipse. Bye.